Hey friends, my name is Matt Portwood, and when I think about my weight loss journey, I sometimes just reflect back on how many times I lost the same weight and gained it back again, and all the mistakes that I made along the way. Then I think about where I'm at now. I'm someone who literally runs a health coaching company that is based around the concept of sustainable weight loss. And we literally help our clients to go from starting off where they have no idea what to do to losing all of the weight and keeping it off for good. We even help our clients to reverse things like type 2 diabetes. And so in this video, what I really want to do is I want to distill years of learning through trial and error and all the painful mistakes that I learned along the way into the 10 fastest steps that would take you from where you are today to truly sustainable results as quickly as possible with as little heartache as possible. So we're going to dive into the list again of the 10 fastest steps to sustainable weight loss, starting with number one. Number one is that you've got to develop a baseline nutritional understanding of food inside the home and outside of the home. Now, there's a saying that I use with my clients all the time, and that is that if you can't quantify something, then you can't control something, right? There's a reason why so many people in the weight loss industry and in the fitness industry count their calories literally every single day. They use an app like MyFitnessPal and they pull out their phone and they use their food scale and they weigh out every meal to the gram, just meticulous detail. And sometimes they obsess over that, right? The reason that works is because there's attention to detail. It allows them to be able to quantify the food that they are putting into their body to make sure that they're getting the right amount every day so they can hit a calorie deficit and they can see results on the scale. But the problem with doing something like calorie counting or just following any diet that you might find out there off of the internet is that counting calories every day or following a diet is not exactly sustainable, meaning that you're just basically following a set of rules in order to get an end result. And those rules, or breaking out your calorie calculator or your food scale, those things are not necessarily flexible in the way that they need to be for long-term sustainability. Most people that I know, including myself, don't want to count calories every day for the rest of their lives. Therefore, it's not sustainable. And I don't know of a single diet on the face of the planet that is going to perfectly flex with your ability to do Christmas and Thanksgiving and to go on a cruise and to go out to eat with your family and go on anniversary dinners and to do all the things that we do as human beings. Number one fastest step to achieving sustainable weight loss is to develop your own knowledge and your own skill and understanding around nutrition so that you can actually understand food and portions, and you can read labels and you can understand how many calories are in a serving of something, how much of that serving is protein, and you can start to quantify it. And if you can start to quantify it, then you will be able to control it. And this is number one, because I really believe that there is no path to sustainable weight loss that does not start with this step. Because eventually, in order to step outside the bounds of an actual diet or to be able to put your calorie calculator down and not have to count calories every day, the only way that you could do that would be as if you actually understand food and you can actually look at a food or look at a label or look at a plate or make a recipe and know that you're getting what you need to get, both inside and outside of the home. That includes going to restaurants and being able to look at a menu and to be able to find an option that will be conducive to your goals right now. So that is step number one, is you've got to start by building a real foundational set of knowledge and skill and understanding around foods and nutrition and labels and all of that good stuff. Which leads me into number two, which is if you really want to get around the idea of having to use an app like MyFitnessPal to count your calories every single day, then you're going to have to learn a natural way of quantifying your food every day to reach your goals, whether it's weight loss or weight gain, maybe you're on a bulk, or maybe it's just that you want to maintain weight. You got to figure out a way to do that in a way that doesn't require you counting your calories every day, but also doesn't feel like you're just winging it. And so the best way that I have found to do that, and this is what we teach our clients at Healthy and Whole, is that we teach you how to standardize your meals and your snacks so that you can use them like building blocks. Now, let me give an example of what this means for someone who's on a weight loss journey, okay? So like in our program, Healthy and Whole, what we typically do is we use standards around meals and snacks, and we teach our clients to standardize all their meals and their snacks so that they are roughly in a certain calorie range and a protein range. And then all we have to do is teach them how to scale their meal or snack servings up if they want to slow their weight loss rate down or enter into maintenance, or maybe they want to go into a bulk, or to scale those meal or snack servings down if they want to increase their weight loss rate or whatever that might be. So what we're really doing is we're learning to understand and say, okay, can I build a plate or order something from the restaurant menu or find a snack that is literally within a calorie range and a protein range that I'm looking for. And so there are certain standards that we use in our program. And so what we typically use with our clients is for a meal, we're looking at a calorie range of around 400 calories or less and a protein range of 35% minimum, ideally between 40 and 50% of those calories coming from protein. And then for snacks, we use a calorie range of 200 calories or less per snack. And ideally, we want our snacks to be roughly 40% or higher in protein, which makes them quantify or qualify as a high protein snack. Now, if you're a math person and you're doing the math here, we typically start with 3 meals and 2 snacks as a baseline for most of our clients who are pursuing weight loss. So if you do the math there, if you have 3 meals at 400 calories and 2 snacks at 200 calories each, then you're right around 1,600 calories a day. And we use that as an ideal starting baseline for literally every weight loss client that comes into our program. And some people are like, well, Matt, how do you just use the same baseline for every single client? Well, I don't know, it just works. We have guys who come into the program who are really big and burly, and then they eat that same baseline and they think that it's gonna be not enough food for them, and then they eat it and they're like, holy crap, Matt, I'm actually really satisfied with this. And it probably has to do with the fact that they're getting a lot of protein and a lot of fiber. I don't know, it just works. There are some situations where we have to scale up and add a meal serving or add a snack serving in there to give them a little bit more from a calorie standpoint to slow down because they're losing too fast or they're just too hungry. But it's so rare that we have to do that. So like men and women, this seems to work really, really well. And what I really like about this is that when you actually get into maintenance, now that you've learned to standardize your meals and your snacks in this way, you can now just add in additional meal or snack servings to bring yourself out of a calorie deficit and into maintenance, or add in another meal or a snack serving to take you into a surplus to where you could build some muscle. And because this sort of base foundation and these base structures or standards are built off of a minimum protein content of 35%, but ideally 40 to 50%, we automatically know that we're getting enough protein every day. So when we scale that up or when we scale that down, we're automatically scaling our protein up and our protein down in a good way all at the same time. Tip number 1, learn a basic understanding and build your basic knowledge and skill around nutritional understanding. And then tip number 2 is learn how to build standardized meals and snacks that fit those calorie ranges. And then you can just use them like building blocks to scale up or to scale back as you need to. Let's move on to number 3, walking 8,000 steps or more a day. 8,000 steps, though, is an amazing baseline goal for activity every day that we use with every single one of our clients at Healthy and Whole to work alongside this base framework that I just gave you nutritionally that tends to work wonders and get really great results from a weight loss perspective for our clients. Now, why 8,000 steps a day? Well, you've probably heard from a lot of people that 8,000 to 10,000 steps is a great baseline. And it is, right? There are probably a million studies out there that have shown this. We like 8,000 because it's a good baseline number that is good for overall health. It's good for blood sugar management. It burns enough calories that when paired with what we shoot for our nutritional framework, that it gets great results. It's not so much that it's going to really take away and eat into your time for other priorities in life. And it's just, it's sustainable, right? It's something that even when you're 80 years old, if you start now especially, you'll still be able to walk 8,000 steps a day, right? There's really going to be very few times in your life that you couldn't, unless you're injured or really sick or something, that you couldn't walk 8,000 steps a day. Now, some of you might ask, well, why walking, Matt? Why not do high intensity interval training or go for long runs or go into Orange Theory and do some high intensity stuff? It'll probably burn more calories, right? Well, yes, to some extent, you're right. It might burn a few more calories, but the problem there is that when you do higher intensity activity like running or sprinting or high intensity lifting sessions like Orange Theory or interval training, those things really ramp up your appetite. And they also tax your nervous system, and they kind of break your body down more too, and they require more recovery, right? So that's why we like walking over doing those high intensity interval type things for things like fat loss, because the goal with fat loss, the goal with weight loss, is to be able to do it in a way that feels enjoyable, that feels sustainable, so that we can get the results that we want with sort of the bare minimum needed to get them. That'll make it ultimately sustainable for the long term. We don't want to ramp up our appetite. We don't want to wear ourselves out to where we can't do anything the next day. We don't want to be super uncomfortable while we're doing it. We want to get the best results with as little effort as possible. And then if we want to build on top of that, because we want to do high intensity interval training, we want to go for a run, we want to do Orange Theory, then we can do that for the right reasons. We can do it because we get great mental health benefits out of it. We can do it because it makes us feel amazing, because it challenges us. We like to sweat. Those are the right reasons to do those high intensity interval training and high intensity activities, but not so much for fat loss. And besides, there are a lot of studies that show walking as a low intensity, steady state form of cardio is optimal for targeting fat loss specifically, whereas higher intensity forms of activity and exercise typically burn carbohydrate for fuel more so than burning fat. So really, if our goal is fat loss, walking is truly the key. So let's move on to number 4, and that is going to be introducing strength training 3 times a week, even just for 30 minutes a time. The goal here is absolutely sustainability. It's not just to lose weight, it's to lose weight sustainably. And so for that reason, we really love the 3 workout per week standard. 3 workouts a week, again, for most people is going to be sustainable. They can find 3 30-minute blocks in their week where they can do a workout, and they can push themselves for that 30 minutes and they can get a great result. We have found that 2 per week, 2 strength training sessions per week is a good sustainable minimum. You can still get pretty decent results if you really do push yourself 2 times a week. If you do 2 days a week, we recommend do upper body on one of those days and lower body on the other, and just alternate those 2 workouts, doing that twice a week. 3 though seems to be like the real optimal gold standard that we get the best results with, okay? So a lot of people will ask, well, Matt, should it be in the gym? Should it be at home? Should I use dumbbells? Should I use barbells? Should I do CrossFit? Does it matter? Honestly, I would say that for most people, and this is just what we've seen in our clientele with Healthy and Whole, for most people, unless you're gonna go step on a physique competition stage, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter where you do your workout or what toys you're using to do it, what machines, or whether it's all body weight. What matters most is that you're pushing yourself, you're really working your muscles, you're feeling exhausted by the end of it, and that you're pushing that limit, that it doesn't feel too easy, right? And that you're consistent with it. That's what matters more than anything. A great example of this, and I'll just throw up a before and after picture here up on the screen here. This is one of our clients, Lori. She lost over 140 pounds, okay? Just doing everything that I've talked to you guys about so far here. She walked 8,000 steps a day. She consistently worked out 3 times a week, and she followed our base nutritional framework that I've just taught you guys about. 3 meals, 2 snacks a day. But what's really interesting about Lori, number 1, you look at her results and they're incredible. I mean, she lost 140 plus pounds and she really became pretty lean. And she did that working out 3 times a week. But what's interesting is that Lori did 1 full body workout using only machines in my gym 3 days a week. She didn't have a fancy workout program that worked different body parts on different days. She didn't do any fancy movements. She only used machines that she would sit down at. She never touched a dumbbell. She never touched a kettlebell. She never did anything. She did the same workout 3 times a week for 12 months straight consistently. And she combined that with daily step goal and with sticking to a consistent nutritional base work or framework like what we just taught you, and look at the results. And what I love about Lori's case study is that it sort of proves that a lot of the details that people obsess over when it comes to their nutrition or their workouts or this workout or that workout or this cardio or that cardio, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we do something, we do it consistently, we hit it the right intensity, and that we focus on enjoying it and making it sustainable along the way. Okay, so let's move on to number 5. And that's going to be hydration. Hydration is super important, but you want to make sure that you are hydrating with electrolytes. A lot of people, when they first start a weight loss journey, they just dive right in and they start cutting their carbohydrate down and they start cutting fats down and they start eating more protein and eating meat and vegetables and lowering their calorie intake, and they start drinking tons of plain water. And this is a really bad idea for most people. When you start cutting your carbohydrate intake down, then what happens is your body starts to flush out a lot of glycogen, a lot of stored carbohydrate in your body. When you do that, you end up flushing a lot of water and a lot of electrolytes out of your body. And you end up in sort of an electrolyte and water depleted state. Right? And we actually really need electrolytes, sodium, potassium, for our muscles to function properly, to have good cognition, to have good energy, to have literally good blood volume and good blood pressure. All that stuff hangs on having the right amount of water and the right amount of electrolytes in your body at any one given time. So if you've ever tried keto, or you know someone who's tried keto, you probably heard of the keto flu. And that's where when you basically eat no carbohydrates whatsoever, people end up in the first week or two feeling super sick, right? They might have headaches and migraines, extreme fatigue. They might even be super nauseous and like throw up. And that's because they basically flushed out tons of water and all their sodium and their potassium. And then they start drinking massive amounts of water because they heard that that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to drink a bunch of water, right? Water's healthy. And they literally put themselves into a state of hyponatremia, where they are electrolyte depleted, not necessarily just water depleted, but electrolyte depleted, okay? So we actually help our clients in our program to tackle this from like day one. And we teach them to make their own homemade sort of electrolyte cocktail. We call it a hydration cocktail. And we teach them how to dose it in alignment with some of the really popular products on the market, which are Element, which you've probably heard of if you watch YouTube very much at all, and also Liquid IV. Right? So if you look at Liquid IV, it is dosed at about 500 milligrams of sodium and just under 400 milligrams of potassium for one serving. And then if you look at Element, it's dosed closer to 1,000 milligrams of sodium. And so what we found is that if you take about a 32 to a 40 ounce water bottle and you fill that thing up with some good quality water and you put in 1/4 teaspoon of something like pink Himalayan salt, which is not a refined salt, and then you put in about 1/8 teaspoon of potassium chloride powder, which you can just get off of Amazon, then you have literally just dosed a bottle of water exactly in alignment with Liquid IV. And then all you have to do is just add a packet of whatever flavoring that sounds good to you. Just buy some Crystal Lights. There's tons of good low-calorie water flavorings out there. True Lemon is one that my wife really likes. But just add a packet of whatever flavoring you want, and now you literally have a way cheaper version of exactly that same thing, which you would pay a bunch of money for Liquid IV, but you just made it at home and it was way cheaper and it still tastes good. And then if you wanted to dose more in alignment with something like Element, then you would just use closer to a 1/2 teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and that's gonna get you right around 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Pair that with your potassium if you want, pair that with your water flavoring, and now you have literally a homemade hydration cocktail dosed in alignment with Element. And so what we do is we teach our clients how to do this right from day one. And so that way, as they're dropping down their carbohydrate intake, which was excessive typically before they start our program, and then they're getting it more to a reasonable amount. As they start our program, they're increasing their protein, their fiber, all that stuff is balancing out. When they start to have that big whoosh where, everybody drops like 10 pounds in their first week and they start to flush out all that water and burn through all that stored carbohydrate they had in their body, the hydration cocktail comes in and replenishes that so they don't get sick. It combats that fatigue and they don't get the headaches and they feel really good from day one because they're hydrating and they're getting their electrolytes. So typically we recommend first thing of the day, start with a hydration cocktail before you even do coffee. And then ideally most people will do another one in the early to mid afternoon. And that's gonna really keep your electrolyte balance really good throughout the day, especially if you're getting out there, you're walking 8,000 steps a day, you're doing strength workouts, you're balanced on your diet, your electrolyte needs are gonna go up when you dial those things in, okay? So let's move on to number 6. This one is so overlooked by almost everybody who ever tried to lose weight on the face of the planet. And that is that you want to optimize very intentionally for enjoyment, for variety, for convenience, and for flexibility as you're building out your lifestyle, okay? Especially with food, but also with your exercise as well. Anybody knows that when they start off on a diet, they start doing the thing, they start removing all their favorite foods, they start eating keto or eating paleo or eating whatever it is, and they make it a few weeks in and they're probably getting great results. But then what happens? They get burnout. They're eating the same foods over and over again because they're getting results. They're missing all of their favorite foods. They're missing flavor and enjoyment in food. It's getting in the way of them being able to go out to eat and go and have a social life and being able to be in community with other people basically that restriction and that diet starts to be like this wall between them and normal life with normal people. And so eventually we get burnt out and we just totally abandon ship and we go hard the opposite direction and we gain all the weight back. So what we do with our clients at Healthy and Whole is literally from day one, we put a focus on helping them build out a menu of meals and snacks inside the home and outside of the home as quickly as possible. We literally schedule meetings to do this with them, where we are building out a menu of meals and snacks that aren't just going to get results because they're portioned in calories and protein and everything where they need to be, but we're helping them find stuff that they will look forward to eating. Right? We're helping them find healthier alternatives and versions of their favorite recipes, their favorite meals, going to their favorite restaurants. And we're making sure that they have enough enjoyment that they will look forward to eating their healthy meals and snacks, that they have enough variety that they can stay ahead of diet fatigue and burnout. Also, we make sure that these healthy meals and these healthy snacks and everything that they have ahead of them is convenient enough that they'll actually do it. Right? How many of you have ever started on a diet? You go to the bookstore, you order some book offline, some cookbook, and you open it up, and there's all these really good looking healthy recipes, but they all take 30 to 40 minutes to cook, and there's like 25 ingredients per recipe. Most of those are just different seasonings that you have to go out and buy. Well, you might do that for about a week or 2 weeks, but eventually you're like, oh my gosh, if this is what it's gonna take for me to be able to do this, I'm backing away from the table. I'm not going to do it. It's possible when life is chill, but what about when you have several kids in sports and you're running kids from here to there and you're working a full-time job and you're doing all this stuff? We have to have a little bit of convenience worked in there as well. We have to have convenient options that we can fall back on that are healthy and they do taste good, and we have a lot of variety so that we can be successful in the busiest times of life and we can be successful in the most chill times of life. So make sure as you are starting this journey that you don't just like go find a diet and go find the most bland, boring food that gets amazing results and then just try to burn yourself out on that. Take the time, or get someone to help you take the time to find recipes and meals that are enjoyable, give you variety, and they are flexible and convenient enough that you actually can do it on a daily basis. And I promise you, you will thank yourself later in the journey when you normally would have been burnt out and you're like, hey, this is actually great. I'm not burnt out at all. I have tons of options that I really enjoy. I could do this forever. And that's the goal. Let's move on to number 7, and that is talking about sleep. You want to stick to ideally a consistent bedtime and a consistent wake up time as much as you can. And ideally, if you really want bonus points, you want to be teacher's pet, you want to have a consistent, maybe even just a 15 to 20 minute morning routine that primes you for the day, every single day. Now, I cannot overstate how transformational and how important this can be. I fought it for a long time. And then when I actually finally figured it out, oh my gosh, guys, I was like, holy crap, I wish I had known this and how impactful this would be the whole time. When I got off my phone and stopped playing video games or watching Netflix, and I actually started going to bed at a decent hour, and I started getting up at 5 a.m. consistently, and I started priming myself every day with a morning ritual that really set me up to be in a great headspace, mentally, emotionally, physically, everything for the whole rest of the day. Guys, it made everything easier. Okay, and I cannot emphasize how awesome this is. A lot of you be saying, okay, well, like, Matt, what does that need to look like for me? Well, it's really simple. Just make sure you go to bed and wake up in enough time to give you 7 to 8 hours in bed. And when it comes to a morning routine, probably the best morning routine that I recommend anybody start with would be to buy the book, whether it's a physical book or an audiobook, buy the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And just read that book, and it teaches you how to put together a very simple and a very time-efficient morning routine from as little as 6 minutes up to an hour. You can scale it as long or as short as you want it to be, but to integrate things like a little bit of meditation, journaling, some exercise, some reading, some affirmation, some visualization. These things, I wake up every morning and I do these things for 15 to 20 minutes. And guys, it's the determining factor between whether I'm waking up every day with anxiety and stress and feeling depressed in my life, or I'm feeling like I'm just ready to run through walls. So important. If you're not getting sleep, a lot of people ask, well, what's really at risk here if I don't get enough sleep? Well, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're spiking your stress hormones, your appetite's going way up, you're way hungrier, you're more sensitive to cravings, you feel more drawn to sweets and carbohydrates and high calorie, high flavor foods. you're more irritable, you don't have the energy to go out and do the things, to walk the steps, to do the workouts, to meal prep the food, right? Sleep is sort of the foundation for making sure that you feel primed to do all the other things, right? So that's why it's number 7, but it really could be number 1. It really could be like that one first thing that you start with. This starts to change everything else. So that's number 7. Number 8, check your blood work every 6 months and supplement as needed. Now, I have really strong feelings when it comes to the supplement industry and the lack of ethics and morals of a lot of the companies that are in the supplement industry. And so I am a pretty firm believer that so much of the stuff that's out there is way overhyped. And there are people out there who are saying that their miracle pill or miracle powder or miracle shake is directly responsible for these amazing client results that they put on their website. And I'm just here to tell you 99% of that stuff, if not 99.9% of that stuff, is just not factual. What actually gets the results is all the stuff we're talking about here. It's the foundations. It's dialing in your nutrition, your daily activity, adding strength training, getting your sleep dialed in, hydrating properly, these basics, and doing them in a sustainable way is what gets the results. Now, so where does supplementation come in? Well, when you are, especially in a weight loss season, when you're reducing your food intake to get into a calorie deficit, you're eating more of this, less of that, things like that, it does open us up to some potential nutrient deficiencies, right? Maybe you're not getting as much of a variety of food as you were before. Maybe you've cut certain things out for the time being completely. Hopefully not forever. The point is you're eating less food and a less variety food. And so that means you might be getting less of certain key nutrients and less of a variety of nutrients. And so my stance on supplementation is that ideally we want to really just test our blood every 6 months if we can, at least once a year, and get an idea where our blood markers are, right? Do we have adequate vitamin D levels, right? How are our electrolytes? What's our cholesterol profile look like? How's our blood sugar regulation, right? What about magnesium? What about our B vitamins? Like all those things that our body needs as sort of core foundational nutrients that allow us to sort of be primed to where we can feel energetic, have good cognition, be primed to get out there and to do life and to live life and to recover and to do all that stuff on a daily basis that we need to do, omega-3 fatty acids, all those basic core nutritional values. If we get blood work every 6 months to a year, we can assess if there are any deficiencies that we need to directly attack or directly fill up, right? And so I recommend get your blood tested every 6 months, maybe every year. I'm not sponsored by them, but I use a company called Function Health. It was founded by Dr. Mark Hyman, just under $500 a year. You sign up through their website that you schedule and you go and get your blood draw twice a year. And they run everything and it uploads into this really cool app. And a doctor goes in and then gives commentary on the findings, gives recommendations on maybe some supplements that you might need to fill some nutritional gaps, some foods you might want to eat more of or less of. And it's just really, really comprehensive and it's very, very practical and impactful. And it really can inform you on where you should put your time and your focus and your money when it comes to supplementing versus wasting a lot of money doing things where you're just getting sucked into internet marketing gurus and falling into that trap. So I recommend run your blood work. And even if you don't run your blood work, most people would probably do good to just stick to the basics, which would be a quality multivitamin, a good vitamin D3 and K2 supplement, and maybe even just some omega-3 fish oils or fatty acids. Just those 3 foundational things are things that are probably very commonly, if you took those things, you would really prevent a lot of nutritional deficiencies and you would be in a good place, right? Okay, so let's move on to number 9, which is actually one of my favorite. It's almost as important as sleep, but that is to read every day and to clean up your media consumption. Okay, guys, if you are trying to literally transform your body, transform your mind, so many people come into me to interview for our program. They feel like they're just as much in an unhealthy place with their mental health as they are with their physical health. All of these things have to be rehabbed and rebuilt together, right? And so if you think you're gonna go out and start making massive changes in your life without cleaning up your media consumption and cleaning up your mind and getting yourself into a better mindset and changing the way you think and growing on a mental and an emotional, on a personal level, you're really gonna struggle if you don't attack that as well. And so what I like to do and what we work with our clients on is like, hey, let's make sure that we are doing what we call the daily growth habit. And so we recommend for all of our clients that you just take 15 to 20 minutes a day and you spend that 15 to 20 minutes a day reading a book or listening to an audiobook or listening to some sort of a positive, growth-centered podcast or watching a YouTube video like this one, you're doing it right now. Good job. To learn, to grow yourself, to expand yourself, to expose yourself to positive people, to positive ideas, to hope, to inspiration, and then to cut down on all the crap that is out there, right? To cut down on, and start hopefully eliminate things like junk media consumption, right? Watching the mainstream media news, the drama-filled toxicity that is political YouTube videos, or just like all the drama that's out there, doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram Reels for 3 hours at night, and then wondering why you can't get to sleep. Cutting that stuff down or completely out and replacing that with wholesome, positive exposure to media, the Bible, just things like that really will cultivate good, positive mental health, hope, excitement, motivation, learning, growth, skill, all that stuff, and getting rid of the stuff that is just basically junk dopamine. If you do that, I guarantee you will feel 1,000% better. And that is one of those things, this could almost be like 1 or 2 on the list. It just makes everything else easier. Lowers your stress levels, lowers your anxiety levels, fills you with positivity, and helps you to learn faster, grow faster, and gets you where you want to be faster. Okay, that is number 9. Number 10, last one on the list, is to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who share your values and your vision for your life. Now, this one is tough because there are certain instances where we can't necessarily remove, someone from our lives. But there's a lot of opportunity for us to put boundaries in place and to make sure that we're spending time with and exposing ourselves to people who share our values, who share our priorities, who share a vision for how they want to live their lives, who they want to be in their life. And there's a saying, a very common saying that says, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time interacting with. And I, in my own life, have found this to be 1,000% true. We tend to rise or fall to the value systems of the people that we're surrounding ourselves with. Let's say you're aspiring to really elevate yourself, to aspire for better health, to change your lifestyle, to drink less, to sleep more, to train your body, to eat healthier food, but you're still surrounded by people who want to drink all the time, or they want to go out and eat all the time and just eat junk food, or they're complaining all the time and they're just not growth centered, or whatever it might be. As human beings, we have a deep need for acceptance, and we strive to be accepted by people. And so if you're surrounding yourself with people whose values don't align with your values, right? What will happen is you will conform to their values because of your deep need to feel accepted. If you surround yourself by people who have higher standards and higher values, then you will, by virtue of wanting to be accepted by those people, you will rise to their standards. You will conform to their values, and everybody in that circle will win. And so sometimes that requires boundaries, and sometimes that requires separation. Great quote from a great guy named Preston Smiles is that elevation requires sometimes separation. And so sometimes you have to put boundaries in place. Sometimes you have to distance yourself from certain people and certain interactions. Maybe you need to change your job. Maybe you need a change in a relationship. Maybe you need to just kind of like focus in and find a new group, a new community of people. It's why we focus so much on community in our coaching program, Healthy and Whole, because we know the power of community. We know the power of being around people who have higher standards and higher values, and what that does to us when we surround ourselves with those sorts of people. So guys, that is the list of the 10 fastest steps that I had no clue about. These 10 steps when I first started my journey. I was just surfing the internet, finding diets, trying this, trying that, trying this workout program, trying this supplement. And I spent years learning that this is the stuff that actually matters. So if this has been helpful for you, please make sure you like this video and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you get notifications when I put out future videos. And I really hope this spoke to someone today, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Again, my name is Matt Portwood, founder of Healthy and Whole. If you need some help with coaching on this journey, there'll be a link down in the comments to where you can reach out to me for coaching. Also, we have a weekly newsletter called the Practical Health Journal, which is a newsletter that comes out every Tuesday and every Friday. Friday. Every Tuesday, you get a deep dive email on a specific topic related to health and wellness and sustainability. And then every Friday, we call it Feel Good Fridays, you get some quick hit tips in your email inbox that will be practical things you can implement today to build some sustainability and some results into your life. So there'll be a link down below for you to sign up for that if you want. It's completely free. And that is it for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.